Hey there, in this video, I'm going to give you a walkthrough and we're going to build a waterfall together, which is going to help you get more emails and more phone numbers from your lead list, also that you can maximize your total addressable market and ultimately get more leads from outbound. So we're just going to actually build it together in Clay here. So first off, if you're new here, I'm AJ Cassata, co-founder of Revenue Boost. We are an outbound agency that generates leads and demos for our clients via cold email, LinkedIn, and cold calling as well. And this video you're watching is actually part of an ongoing course I'm building here and releasing for free on my YouTube on how to use clay.com, which is a super powerful that helps you with all different aspects of the GTM and outbound stack, right? So it helps you with building lists, getting contact info like we're going to show today, AI personalizing campaigns, qualifying, scoring leads, and a lot more cool stuff. So you can go to my channel and watch more videos on Clay where I just show you like everything we do on a day-to-day basis for our clients. But here we're going to walk through a waterfall. So what is a waterfall enrichment? You might have heard this term before. Maybe you're wondering like what the hell it is. So basically it's not the thing outside that you go and like swim in. It's basically a way to get a lot more emails and phone numbers from an existing lead list, right? So the reason they call it a waterfall is, well, you'll see in a minute. It's kind of like a visual thing. But essentially, let's say that you have leads. So let's just find leads here. Let's just find like an example of a person. I'm going to use Clay's database here just to build the lead list. But if you have data somewhere else, if you have a list of people and companies somewhere else from some other tool, you can bring them in Clay to enrich them and find the emails and phone numbers here. So let me just find, let's see if I can actually just find these people here. Continue. No, I don't want that. Okay. So I'm just going to limit this to 5 people. Let's see if we can actually find Bill Gates' email. Let's see. Okay. Save to new table. So anyways, right now I'm using Clay's database to actually find people and companies. And I just picked a random 5 leads here, right? But you could, if you're doing this in real time, you could type in the details you want about your ICP, you know, the company size, the industry, the job titles, etc. But I'm just picking 5 random leads for today. And you can see here, it actually has an option here to get your own work email waterfall. But I'm going to show you how to actually build one because it's better. So now we have leads here. And now the thing is, okay, we have people, we have the companies we want to prospect. Now we need their actual email address, right? So what is a waterfall? Basically, normally when you're trying to get contact information, most people might use a tool like Apollo or ZoomInfo, and they might get an email address from Apollo or ZoomInfo, right? The problem with that is it's usually not a very valid email address, even though Apollo will tell you that, you know, which emails are valid, which emails are invalid. We found that it's usually very inaccurate. So if we take a list of 5,000 leads from Apollo and we upload it to Clay or a verification tool, even if we take the valids, we'll often see that like only 40% of those are actually valid. Now, this is a problem because if you're relying on data from these databases and you email a bunch of invalids, first of all, the biggest problem is you're going to be emailing a bunch of leads that are invalid, which means your emails are going to bounce and you're going to like have real bad spam problems and deliverability problems, right? So you don't want to email bad data because it just reflects back very poorly. And you'll see your inboxes and your company domains get burned really quickly and you just won't be able to reach other people, right? And you'll have to spend money to fix that. That's the biggest problem. The other obvious problem is, why would you spend valuable time and money emailing people that just don't have an accurate email, right? So it's just also a waste of resources. So you don't want to rely on the email addresses and phone numbers from those tools very often. ZoomInfo is of course a little bit better because they're more expensive, but even still, no matter what database you use, you should always put it into a tool like Clay to validate the email and then find more emails, right? So we're not just going to show you how to validate the email so you get better deliverability. I'm going to show you how you can actually find more emails and maximize the TAM, right? And that's very important because let's say that in your target market, there's 100,000 potential people and companies you could go after, right? Well, if you're only able to get contact information for 40,000 of those, 40%, right? Well, then you're missing most of the market, right? And you're going to have to keep emailing those same 40,000 people sooner and sooner, and you're going to burn that out, right? So basically, if you think about it, you're more than doubling the revenue potential and the amount of, you know, pipeline you can generate just by simply doing better email enrichment, because now you can get all 100,000, or not all, but closer to those 100,000, right? So it's like the simplest way where you could just give yourself a lot more potential to scale outbound, and ideally wait longer before you recycle leads and email and call the same people. So you'll see it help your response rates as well. So overall, you want to just maximize your TAM as much as possible. And when most people think about maximizing their TAM, they think about going to like different databases, like getting a list from LinkedIn and getting a list from Apollo and getting a list from ZoomInfo. But you don't want to just do that. That's maximizing TAM in terms of like finding more companies and people. But the other side of maximizing TAM is finding more contact information from those same people so that you can use them, right? Now, maybe some of you watching this are a little bit more advanced, and maybe you've used tools like Neverbounce or Dbounce or Find Email to actually validate emails that you've gotten elsewhere, like Apollo or ZoomInfo or LinkedIn or something, right? That's still decent, but that's not as good as a Waterfall, because that's just one tool. So if you're using an email verifier tool or an enrichment tool, again, common ones are like Neverbounce or Dbounce. That's going to, get you more than 40% of those emails to be valid, but it's still not going to be all of them, because you're limited to just one tool. And each tool, like all these different tools, have different strengths and weaknesses, right? Some have better coverage over certain markets than others, right? So Waterfall basically means you take your list of leads, and Clay can basically try one email validator, another email validator, and another one, and so forth. So that's why it's like a waterfall, because it's like right, one after the other. So anyways, you can go to add enrichment. You can do work email. And you see how there's all these data providers? Some of these I mentioned before, like Find Email, right? So essentially, Clay is allowing you to access all of these different enrichment tools to find and validate emails. You can do either. You can find emails. Like if you just have people and companies and you don't have their email address in the first place, this can find the email. If you already have that, you can just validate the email. So again, if you've gotten an email from like Apollo or something and you want to make sure it's real, you can just validate the email. But if you're a few steps behind it and you just have a list of people and companies and you don't even have an email, you can also have a waterfall to find the email. But essentially, it's going to ping all these different data providers, and then it's going to stop once it finds an accurate email. So that's why you're able to maximize the TAM and get as many emails as possible from a lead list or phone numbers, because you're essentially trying every different tool out there and just stopping once you find an accurate one. Because again, all different tools have different coverage, and one tool might be able to find you an email for a particular person, another one might not, right? So basically, these are the inputs. You can actually customize it as well. And it basically tells you, so that you have to customize the inputs that go into the waterfall. So if you have the full name, if you have the company name, if you have the LinkedIn profile, any of those are enough for these tools to be able to find the person. Ideally, the more the better. But if you have just the full name and the company domain, or just a LinkedIn profile, either of those are enough at a minimum. So I'm gonna click save and don't run. So now let's take a look at this. So now it says work email. Now let's actually click this because we want to see what's under the hood here. So now you can see it's going to go from one step to the next. It says find work email. This is find email, right? And if you can actually like mess with it here, which I'll show you in a minute. But you see how it has different email tools. This is Hunter. This is Prospeo. These are all different email tools. It's not going to run all of them. It's going to keep running them until it stops. So let me just actually show you. Let's go find Bill Gates and Richard Branson's email so we can sell them something, right? So see, it's going to keep trying one after the other, and then it's going to stop once it has a valid email address. That's pretty cool, right? And it's going to input the final email in a column here. Now, before Clay existed, you could technically do this on your own, and people did, right? You could basically download a CSV of people and companies, right? And then you could upload that to a tool that can find you the email address, right? Or if you had a list that already had email addresses, like you got it from Apollo or ZoomInfo, you could take that and you could upload it to a tool like Find Email or Neverbounce and check if that email was valid. And then, like we used to do this all the time, right? We would basically take the rejects. So if we had a list of 10,000 leads and we validated those emails to make sure that they're real with Neverbounce, if we saw that 3,000 of them were invalid, we would take those 3,000 and then we would upload that CSV to another tool like Find Email or something. And then we would see if Find Email could find emails for any of those, or if it could validate them, right? And then maybe Find Email could find 500. And then we keep going on to try to like get more and more emails out of this list so that we have as many prospects as possible to prospect so that we can keep getting more leads, right? But that's a lot of time to like download and wait for the export and re-upload. Like, so now it just happens all within literally like less than a minute, right? So you see it, and basically the way it works with Clay is it charges you a credit for each one, only if it actually finds you something. So most of these are not going to actually charge you a credit. Yes, it says 0 credits here. So the way that Clay works is that you basically get Clay credits. Again, I have a previous video on the playlist here on my YouTube channel that explains all of this. But basically Clay works where you buy a plan, you get credits. By the way, if you sign up for Clay with the link in the description below, you get 3,000 free credits. But essentially it's like a credit system where you can access and like borrow all of these different tools through Clay's account, through your Clay credits, right? So basically anytime that, let's see, where do we actually spend credits? So Hunter was able to find the email for both of these, and that's where we spent, let's see, 2 Clay credits at the bottom right, see? So that's in a nutshell how it works. Hey, real quick, how would you like a free 7-hour mini course on exactly how to start and scale outbound campaigns that book you appointments and get you clients? If that sounds good, then click the link in the description and download it real quick. This is free, my gift to you as a subscriber. And definitely download this unless you hate leads and you don't want to grow your business. If that's the case, then don't do it. But otherwise, grab it and put it to work right away. I mean, this is literally so action-packed, so like straight to the point. You can pretty much just go through the whole course in a day, implement it tomorrow, and start getting booked appointments the next day. So it's very, very easy to follow. Grab the link in the description down below. Hope you enjoy it. And also, if you don't want to do this yourself and you would actually just like to hire a team to run outbound campaigns for you and book you sales appointments, then there's also a link in the description to book a call with my team and I, where you can actually just see what it would look like to have us just do all this for you. Anyways, thanks for watching, and let's get back to the video. Now let's talk about some more advanced things you can do with this. And by the way, if you want phone numbers, same thing here, right? You can just click, let's see if they have one pre-made. If not, we can make one. Phone, mobile phone. Same thing, right? You can configure it here. Now it basically preloaded all these different tools in here. But now let's talk about some advanced things. So if you want to mix and match these, right, you can do so. So let's say I want to use Clay's phone numbers, but I don't want to spend on some of these expensive ones. Because see how some of these are 20 credits a row, 25 credits a row. What I would normally do if you're going to customize your own waterfall, which I definitely would, is delete the more expensive ones, right? So let's delete everything over 10. And then let's put the cheap one first. So basically it's going to go in order. So it's going to try Clay enrichments first, and it's only going to try the next one if this first one can't find a phone number, right? So so that's just a good hack. Like you can put the cheaper enrichments first because then it might not get to the more expensive ones, right? That's what I would do. And same goes for phone numbers, right? Now beyond that, the other way you can save money is you can use the API keys, right? So here we should have find email here. So here, find email was the first one. You see how it shows my API key here? So instead of me using Clay credits, I have a find email account. We have a couple of these accounts at our agency, and I've connected that to Clay via API key. So instead of Clay spending my precious Clay credits, it's going to ping find email. It's going to use my find email credits from my find email account. Why does that matter? Because it's a hell of a lot cheaper, right? Because that's Clay's business model, right? Clay is making a markup on these tools by allowing you to use their API key, but obviously they have to make a profit on that, right? So if you have these tools already, or you could just buy them, you can connect your own API key. And then in that case, you won't spend any Clay credits. You can use the cheaper Clay plans. And then you're just basically pinging your credits from these tools that you're already using, right? Another way to save money is I wouldn't use 10 different providers. What you'll find as you start doing this is like most of the time, you're going to find a valid email in the first like 2 to 3 columns. Like usually I find that like if we can't find a valid email in the first 2 to 3 columns or 4, these later ones like columns 7, 8, 9, and 10 are not going to get it, right? And that can also still cost you money because even though I mentioned that if one of these tools doesn't find you an email, I mentioned that it doesn't charge you, right? However, sometimes these tools will find an email and then it will validate that email and find that it's not accurate. So like, let's say that Prospio found an email. Let's say that this one found an email and then it goes to validate it. And then it validates and it finds out that, oh, actually this email isn't real. It's going to go to the next one. And then that can keep happening in a loop. And then basically you're still spending money for the tool to find the email, even though it's not valid, right? So long story short, all you need to know is usually we just limit our email waterfalls to like 4 steps max, because then you're just like, you get very diminishing returns. Like you might find some emails, like if you have a really small list of like a couple hundred really, really high quality contacts, maybe it's worth spending extra Clay credits to get a couple more emails, but usually we find diminishing returns after the 4th one. We use API keys to save on costs, and that's pretty much it. Now, last thing is how to build a custom waterfall. So I just showed you how to use like the preset ones from Clay and then mess around with it, but you can also build a custom waterfall. and you can just basically like find, like, let's say you just want to use find email, right? You can add that as an action, save waterfall step, and then add another action. So you can also build your own sequence of enrichments, right? Now, the last thing, really good pro tip here is let's use AI and let's use Clayagent to research and find an email. So let's see, visit their website and find me an email. So let's say that so all of these different data tools, these enrichment tools, are going to try to find an email or a phone by looking at the person's LinkedIn profile or the company name, right? But let's say that you don't have that. You can also just use Clayagent, which is an AI agent inside of Clay, to do anything. I mean, Clayagent can do any web research, but in this case, I'm going to prompt it to visit their website and find me an email, right? And then I have to actually put their website in here. So I'm going to go to website. Let's see, maybe it's domain. How's it typed in here? Domain, right? So now that's just basically calling this other column here. So you can see that Clay kind of works like a spreadsheet. You're probably getting the general idea now. And then I can click save. I'm not going to run it, but if I click save and don't run, it's now going to go to their website and find me an email. So this is like another step on the waterfall you can do. So if you don't have someone's contact information, like their name or their LinkedIn profile, you could just take a list of URLs and find the company email here. Or you can, if you have all the contact information, like let's say I just want to add another step to this workflow, I can find the company email, right? So let's say that I have a couple of people, like let's say I want to get in touch with Richard Branson's company, but the entire waterfall could just not find Richard Branson. As you can see here, we found an email for our boy Bill Gates and Satya Nadella, but we did not find the email from Richard Branson. Even though it tried 10 tools, it could just not find his email. Well, as a backup option, I can try to find a generic company email, right? I can try to find the contact at Virgin or whatever the email is, right? So I would just run it for those rows. And you can also just do this program like automatically. You can go to run settings, and I'm going to say only run if work email is empty, which means I don't want to run it twice and waste my money, right? Like I'm only going to run this column to try to find the company email if the other tools did not find a valid email. So again, that's really how like the whole waterfall works. I didn't have to type this in for each tool, because when you use Clay's preset waterfalls, it's just done for you. But this is how it is configured on the back end. So technically you could just build your own waterfalls without even using any of these presets. You just pretty much just build a column and then just adjust the run settings, right? But it's obviously faster with their presets. So now if I run it, it's only going to run it for this one. So that's pretty cool. By the way, though, in this case, like if I was actually trying to reach Virgin.com, I wouldn't try to find a generic company email, because if a company that has thousands of employees, usually you're not going to have much luck reaching the company email. But again, it's like a last step. It's the fallback. So you might as well try it. But usually if we're targeting small businesses, then we will go for the company email, because very often we can actually get leads from just reaching the generic company email. So again, obviously it's better to have the direct decision maker's email, but if you can't find those, you can at least have a fallback where you can try to find a generic company email. And again, it's all about maximizing the TAM and getting as much contact information as you can. And then the other one is obviously you can search other job titles of the company. So that'll be a topic for another day, but you could also take all these companies that did not get a valid email, and then you can put that in another table, and you can just try to find other people at those companies, other job titles at those same companies, and then do the same thing, find a waterfall for them. So a lot of different ways you can skin the cat, right? But that's how waterfalls work for emails and phone numbers, and you can use them for other stuff too, which is pretty cool. But yeah, this is a great and simple way to maximize your TAM in a extremely cost efficient way without you having to buy licenses to 10 different tools for data enrichment, which is, how people used to do it in the good old days. So anyways, hope you enjoyed this video. If you want more training on how you can use Clay to enhance your outbound campaigns and your entire GTM stack, I have a free course on the channel. If you're watching this video right after I release it, there's probably only a couple of videos there, but if you're watching this in the future, there's probably a full course there by now, and I just keep adding to it. So anyways, go to my channel, subscribe, and you'll get new videos on Clay as well as outbound cold email as a whole, and a lot of cool stuff that we post about growing B2B businesses. And if you want to also get a free course on how to start and scale your outbound campaigns, so like today I just showed you one little piece of this, right? But if you want a course that covers everything, start to finish, on how to start and scale cold email campaigns, our entire process, click the link in the description below. There'll be a free course you can get. You can literally complete it in like a day. It's like super efficient, super straight to the point. no nonsense. And yeah, that link is down below if you want to actually just get the course. All right. Anyways, see you soon. See you in the next video.
Hey, I'm AJ Cassata, co-founder of Revenue Boost. Really hope you enjoyed today's video. If you do, make sure to leave me a comment and definitely subscribe right now so that you're notified of all the cool stuff we're doing, all the cool tactics, tips, and strategies that we share here on the channel. We help B2B companies scale to 7 to 8 figures. We've helped over 400 clients and we can help you too. And we share some amazing stuff on the channel here. So really hope you enjoyed. And if you do, let me know in the comments and be sure to subscribe. All right, back to the video.